Mangwanani Malelepo Fokenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. We hope you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today we begin in Tanzania, where 240 people face treason charges after post-election protests. Then to Brazil, where developing nations at COP30 demand climate justice from the world's biggest polluters. Bill Gates commits $1.4 billion to help farmers adapt to extreme weather in Southern Africa and Asia. In Zambia, Mike Sichula reports on political tensions, telecom reforms, and football glory. We also feature ATI Holidays Managing Director David Cartwright and celebrate African excellence on the global sports stage. Watch Africa Good Morning on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, NTVAfrica.my.na, and NTV Africa on YouTube. We have a long week ahead of us. Let's get into the show right after the break. My name is Ashwin Berry.
Life is unpredictable and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as $50 Namibian a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
Let's get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning. We start in Tanzania. At least 240 people have been charged with treason following violent protests after last week's election. President Samia Suluhu Hassan was declared winner with 98% of the vote, though opposition groups barred from running dismissed the poll as fraudulent. Hundreds were reportedly killed in clashes with security forces, though officials insist the vote was free and fair. The accused, including businesswoman Jennifer Jovin and social media influencers, appeared in court in Dar es Salaam but were not asked to plead. Prosecutors say they incited demonstrations to obstruct the election, a charge that carries the death penalty, though executions have not been carried out since the 1990s. President Samia condemned the violence, blaming foreign interference. Kenya has raised concerns for its citizens after several were killed or detained during the unrest. Foreign Minister Musalia Mudavadi said had requested guarantees for their safety. Observers say the polls failed democratic standards. President Samia's closed-door inauguration in Dodoma reflected tightening political control in a country where opposition leaders remain jailed or banned. In our next story, world leaders gathered at COP30 in Brazil heard impassioned pleas from countries devastated by climate disasters, calling for accountability from wealthy nations driving global emissions. Meeting near the shrinking Amazon rainforest, COP30 delegates urged action to close the gap between the rich and developing countries. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva called for a roadmap to end deforestation and phase out fossil fuels. Haiti's envoy cited Hurricane Melissa's devastation, while Kenya's Vice President Kithure Kindiki decried alternating droughts and floods that have destroyed livelihoods. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley lamented that the 2022 Loss and Damage Fund still holds under $800 million, far short of the 1.3 trillion goal. The UN warns global warming will likely exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius within a decade unless emissions halve by 2030. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres accused corporations of profiting from destruction while governments storm. As the United States skipped the summit, African Union officials insisted their nations seek not charity but justice for those paying the price of others' pollution. In the last of our top stories, The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will invest $1.4 billion over 4 years to help farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia adapt to worsening extreme weather. The funding aims to develop technologies that improve crop resilience, livestock production, and land restoration while expanding digital advisory tools. Announced ahead of the COP30 summit, the initiative targets smallholder farmers who produce over a third of global food yet receive less than 1% of climate finance. Bill Gates said supporting them is one of the smartest, most impactful things we can do for people and the planet. The program seeks to strengthen global food systems that account for about a third of greenhouse gas emissions. According to the foundation, the effort aligns with Gates' COP30 vision for targeted climate investments with lasting human impact. It also ties into the foundation's broader 2045 goal of lifting millions out of poverty through innovation and resilience-focused development in the face of worsening climate disruptions. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. In Zambia, stones were thrown at President Hakainde Hichilema when he was in the Copperbelt province. We'll be talking to Mike Sichula as he delivers that story and more from the Zambia report just after the weather. It's time for us to talk to Mike Sichula, who is our correspondent in Zambia, as he delivers the Zambia report. Mike, Uribanji.
Good morning to our
Didi Bueno. Now, Mike, President Hakainde Hichilema's Chingola address was significantly disrupted, and that's putting it lightly.
It was disrupted by the residents of Chingola. So the president had initially not planned to visit that area, which at the market that was just a few days ago. But when the president insisted on going there, and the animal happened. So the background to this story that in that there is a mine called Seli that is more or less like an mining area, but youths, men who are employed, visit that area, dig whatever minerals they can find and sell to Chinese nationals as well as other foreign nationals interested in mining materials. So the president, when he went there, the message he had and what the residents expected is the cause of this disruption, because when the other speakers before the president spoke, they did announce that President Hakainde Hichilema was going to address some of the problems that they have, especially the reopening or giving back this mine to the small-scale miners within the district. So when the president did not speak to that to that to that issue, it is what caused the youths of that town to become incensed, and they began stoning at the dice where President Hakainde Hichilema was addressing them. So he could not even finish his address as the situation became very unsafe for the head of state to continue there. So he was whisked away by security, and what followed is that the residents of that town pursued the presidential motorcade and started throwing stones at the presidential motorcade. Then they went on to ban a police vehicle that was providing security to the president. Then they also went as far as banning the holding tents that where the president could land and spend some time before he went to talk to people. They bent that holding tent. They bent the presidential portrait and also damaged other property within that area. So it was not a very good state of affairs. So in the police have finally managed to arrest five people in connection with the violence. Yesterday, again, Hakainde Hichilema warned that the people that are behind the disruption of his address certainly be dealt with the law. So that is one of the vehicles that went down by the residents of Chingola. So Chingola is predominantly a mining town, and the youths in that area, they want a share of the proceeds from the mine, and the Senseli mine is one of the a platform where they make their ends meet. So it is a very huge uh, investment area or business area for the people of Chingola. So this is why, if when the president did make to it, the message did not go such that they ended up stoning him whilst he was addressing them.
All right, Mike, we're going to stay with the political news. Makebi Zulu returns to launch PF presidential campaign.
Yes, he has touched down in Lusaka, and he has been very busy with meeting other political minds. So he went Inonge Winner, also been to prison. Some PF members have been jailed. One of them has visited is Mr. Lafeo Nakachinda, who is the Secretary General. In that picture, he was pictured there meeting the former Vice President Inonge Winner. So the PF are supposed to elect a new president by the month end, the November month end. And Mr. Makebi Zuru is one of the people that have expressed interest seat. Other members who have expressed interest include former Justice Minister Given Luinda and the current Polokoso Member of Parliament, Brian Mundubire. For Brian Mundubire, he has been endorsed by 29 members of Parliament, and he looks to be one of the strong candidates to replace the late President Edgar Lungu as the president. So it is going to be a highly contested election for the PF presidents, because so far there are about 9 aspiring presidential candidates that are hoping that people are going to elect them come November 10th.
All right, Mike, and ZICTA has given mobile operators 21 days to improve service.
So the background there's been poor net connectivity in the country by the 3 service providers. So this has prompted telecom regulator ZICTA to issue a 21 days ultimatum for these service providers to improve the internet services as well as core facilities. So what has been happening in the past is that there has been a lot of dropping of calls, internet is jammed, you cannot even, sometimes when it is very bad, you cannot even make a call because this call will be dropping, or between the 2 people making a call, one other person on the other end will not be hearing the other people. So these complaints have become so rampant for members of the public. This has pushed ZICTA to that ultimatum. Then one of the Lusaka lawyer has since gone ahead to sue one of the service providers in the High Court saying that he needs, in the local court, a magistrate court, demanding that the mobile providers improve their provision of internet as well as core services. The argument from service providers is that they have attributed the poor service provision to members of the public to the current existing electricity road shedding, which says they've made their businesses to become costly because they have to improvise the provision of generators, need fuel, as well as into other energy sources such as the use of solar energy at some of their towers. But using towers is different from when you're using electricity. That is one of the arguments have been advancing ever since this problem of poor network and poor service from mobile service providers became so rampant in this country.
All right, Mike, and I'm glad the ZICTA mentioned that because we have been having some issues with the network from that side. But we're going to have to close our segment at this point, and we certainly look forward to getting more updates, particularly on the Hichilema situation and, of course, Makebi Zulu going forward. Thank you for joining the show, Mike.
Thank you so much, Africa. Good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning indeed. We're going to take a quick break before we return with an AGM interview. Africa Good Morning spoke to David Cartwright, Managing Director of ATI Holidays, about the company's role in Namibia's tourism sector. He shares how ATI curates authentic travel experiences, supports local communities, promotes sustainability, and adapts to changing travel trends. You are with Africa Good Morning, and with me in studio is Mr. David Cartwright, who is the Managing Director of ATI Holidays, and we want to talk about their business, their resilience, and their plans for the future. Greetings, David. How are you?
Very good morning, and great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Good to have you. Good to have you. So, 'tis the season for many people. The holidays start becoming a necessary thing to plan for, particularly for Africans. Of course, we understand that the seasons are different when it comes to tourists, and I think it's apt that we do have ATI Holidays in studio. So let's talk about ATI Holidays. How long have you been in existence, and what is it precisely that you do?
So look, we've been around now for 25 years, almost. My partner and I, Charlotte, we saw a niche in the market many years ago to develop the luxury self-type holiday, specifically, I think, to the UK market originally. We've developed and expanded beyond that now. But what we do is we create packages. We plan holidays for agencies all around the world, but also for individuals as well. People who want to come to Namibia and beyond Botswana and also down into South Africa. So we create these lovely packages, we run all the logistics, we manage all facets of their holidays, and then we often just sell these packages on to agencies around the world to sell on.
All right. And what makes you unique as ATI Holidays, if I may ask?
Well, there are a number of points, I think, where we do differ, but I think probably the major one is our independence. We're the only major DMC, or destination management company, that doesn't own its own lodges or cars, have its own hire fleet or aeroplanes, etc. It means that we're selling only what we feel is right for the client, right for that particular individual's budget and interests. That allows us to be more transparent. It allows us to be trustworthy and open with our agents and with our clients alone. We're not just selling to put bums in our own beds to benefit our bottom line.
All right. What is your motivation behind ATI Holidays, if I may veer off a bit?
Look, I mean, I've been in Africa now for about 30 years.
Wow.
The first few years were spent traveling, enjoying the region. I studied as a commercial pilot. I have a geography, geology background as my degree. I just loved the environment. I love Namibia. I loved the region. And I think we spent so much time telling people how wonderful it was.
Yes.
And why they should come here.
Yeah.
At some point we realised we should start getting paid for doing it. There was very much, I think, a gap in the market for what we do at that point. So we moved back from Botswana into Namibia 25 years ago to launch the company.
Wow. I think if there's something that I truly admire is when an experience creates a business as opposed to a business being a business in and of itself. You first experienced the region and you essentially wanted to share what you saw. I have to ask, how do you curate unique experiences for international visitors?
I mean, Namibia is probably the very definition of authentic travel.
Yes.
It's not about these superficial resort-based stays. So we can create packages which encompass varying environments, all the wonderful different vistas, all the beautiful different faces of Namibia. We will bring that into one package where we can spend time dealing sometimes with the difficult issues of Namibia's history, perhaps Swakopmund, spending time with the Khoisan people, out in Sampui, learning about some of their traditional life skills. But ultimately, I think it's really about knowing the people, the environment, and the relationships that we've developed over 25 years.
All right. And what are some of these packages that you offer and destinations, if I may ask?
Look, I mean, the basic package probably hasn't changed much for many years. I believe the best option is to take a clockwise routing around the country. So probably from Windhoek, coming down to Sossusvlei, highest dunes in the world, all these deserts, extraordinary landscapes.
Wow.
And then maybe heading up to the coast, to Swakopmund. With its history, which I just alluded to, but also some of the wonderful activities. So kayaking on the Walvis Bay Lagoon first thing in the morning with seals, perhaps, looking for dolphins. Maybe a trip down to Sandwich Harbour for the day.
We'll be showing the second half of that interview tomorrow. But for now, we head into the sport from the weekend. Siya Kolisi celebrated his 100th test with trademark humility as South Africa came from behind to defeat France 32-17 in an intense autumn international in Paris. The Springbok captain, who rose from Zwide Township to become South Africa's first black captain and two-time World Cup winner, was substituted after Lochlud de Jaga's red card, but continued to inspire from the sidelines. Kolisi praised his team's composure under pressure, saying, "We always make decisions for the team." Coach Rassie Erasmus credited Kolisi's leadership for maintaining calm and unity, describing him as a climate controller who sets the team's atmosphere. Erasmus said experience proved decisive in the intimidating Stade de France, where South Africa's forward pack dominated late in the match. Replacement Sasha Feinberg Mgome Zulu sealed victory with a late try as the Springboks showcased the resilience and teamwork that have defined their reign as world champions, underscoring Kolisi's enduring influence on and off the field. In football, African football stars Mohamed Salah, Ashraf Hakimi, Temwa Chawinga and Chiamika Nnadozie have been shortlisted for the 2025 FIFA The Best Awards. Egypt's Salah, instrumental for Liverpool, is in contention for Men's Player of the Year alongside Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland and Vinicius Jr. Morocco's Hakimi, a standout for Paris Saint-Germain, joins him on the men's shortlist. Malawi's Chawinga makes history as the first Malawian nominated for the best FIFA women's player, while Nigeria's Nnadozie is recognized for her exceptional goalkeeping with Paris FC and the national team. Now, PSG leads all clubs with 4 nominees, including Hakimi, Dembele, Mendes and Vitina, reflecting the club's strong season. The African nominees highlight the continent's growing influence in global football, with players continuing to shine across Europe's top leagues and women's competitions. Their recognition underscores Africa's increasing prominence on world football's biggest stage as anticipation builds for the prestigious FIFA ceremony later this year. Those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning. Thank you for joining us on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, ntvafrica.my.na, and NTV Africa on YouTube. We'll certainly return tomorrow with more news from the African diaspora and, of course, from within the continent, as well as Talent Correct delivers the Zimbabwe report. Swera Jaganaka.